Hey everybody, this is the Esoteric Cross. I make videos about how to gain your personal power while learning ancient secrets, and if that sounds like something that you're into, please hit the like button and subscribe and gain insight from this perspective in the cosmos. In this video, we're going to talk about the benefits of the lesser banishing ritual of the hexagram. We've talked quite a bit about the pentagram rituals on this channel, the path within ceremonial magic, the 4 elements, and some other basic rituals in this practice. But today we're expanding a bit on this as we get into the bridge leading to the more macrocosmic energies. We're going to discuss the reasons for the LBRH, the basic outline of the LBRH, some of the symbolism of the ritual, and the benefits. Some people may argue that this ritual is not something that you should do on a daily basis, and some people argue that this should be a part of your everyday ritual stack. I think that this is mostly up to you to find out what works best for you. A big part of being a magician is truly like being a spiritual scientist. What you're doing is learning these formulas, working with them, and collecting data. You should be able to figure out if something is not working or if something is working really well, record the data, and adjust your routine. I still think it's helpful to at least try doing this ritual on a daily basis and see what happens for you. The one thing that I will say though is that you should not jump right into this ritual if you're just starting out on this path. You should be working with the LBRP in the middle pillar for a reasonable amount of time and also start doing your elemental work. It might help to learn some other things such as the Kabbalistic meditations and learning the LVX ritual. These are some good things that can help prepare you before jumping into working with these larger energies. When you practice the LBRP on a daily basis, what you're doing is separating your consciousness into its 4 parts, purifying them, and these parts are represented by the 4 elements. Earth, air, water, and fire. If you want more information on the LBRP, I suggest checking out my other videos on this topic, which you can see linked to this one. These 4 elements in the LBRP are the 4 aspects of your personal consciousness as the microcosm of the universe. What you're doing in these pentagram rituals is working on the self. This is the big part of the symbolism of the pentagram, representing the body, the 5 senses, the 4 terrestrial elements, and spirit. The hexagram is suggesting the work on the planetary aspects of consciousness. Now, when you are performing the lesser hexagram rituals, you are still working on the elements. So let's break this down. Here's the big difference. It's all about the microcosm and the macrocosm. When we perform the LBRP, we're symbolically playing out the story of the 4 seasons. This is the way life on Earth responds to this cycle of the sun, and it's with those 4 seasons. The sun represents consciousness and life force energy as it is always giving life. Earth represents the body, terrestrial consciousness, the 4 elements, the personal world. It's our physical manifestations. The body responds to consciousness. The earth responds to the cycle of the sun with the 4 seasons. These 4 seasons are corresponding to those 4 elements in the 4 directions. So performing the LBRP, we separate consciousness into these 4 elements or seasons. Starting in the east, we draw this pentagram for spring and air, moving to the south with summer and fire, then moving to the west with autumn and water, and then to the north with winter and earth. Finally, reaching back to the beginning of the cycle again. Just to reiterate, this is meant to represent the microcosm and the internal world. When we practice the LBRH, we are also working with these 4 elements, but we're playing this out in the ritual in a larger way, because the first hexagram that we draw is fire, and it's in the east, and then moving to earth in the south, air in the west, and then water in the north. The symbolism of this is representing the cycle through the zodiac. The first hexagram is fire because fire is the first element that we experience as soon as spring begins. Aries is that first sign of the zodiac. And then the next sign of the zodiac is an earth sign, Taurus. So we are moving through the south with an earth hexagram. Gemini is the next sign, which is an air sign, and air is the next hexagram that we draw in the west. Finally, Cancer is next on the zodiac, and it's a water sign, so we will draw the water hexagram in the north. The cycle repeats because after Cancer is a fire sign, and then earth, and then air, and water, and then the cycle repeats again. So ultimately what we're still doing is working with the elements within the lesser hexagram rituals, but the focus really shifts from terrestrial consciousness, Earth, to solar consciousness, the sun itself going through these cycles. As you get into the hexagram rituals, you will be using them to connect with planetary energies in the zodiac. There were 7 planets to the ancients, and these are the Moon, Mercury, Venus, the Sun, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn. Here's where we find the not-so-secret secret of the hexagram. It represents these 7 planets. The Sun is at the center. The symbol is suggesting that the Sun is the source of light or the source of life, and each of these points, or the planets, are really just reflections of that source. These planets don't make their own light, they just reflect the Sun's light. They are all like unique aspects of the Sun. You can see this reflected in yourself as you have this higher state of consciousness, the true self, the I am principle, or the awareness that's within you. This consciousness displays itself in aspects. Mercury represents your intellectual self. It's your reasoning, communication, the information that you take in, the skills that you build. Venus is your sensuality, artistic side, emotions, and your vision for beauty. The Moon is your subconscious mind, your intuition, your astral consciousness, or your psychic awareness. Mars is your ambitious self, aggressiveness, control, domination, energy, and courage. Jupiter is your growth, success, value, giving, and abundance. Saturn is your time, discipline, structure, creation, and endings. There's so much more to it than that, but those are some of the basic definitions. As you progress along your path in ceremonial magic, you'll be using these hexagram rituals to work with these planetary energies. We have to talk a tiny bit about the connection between Saturn and the Sun. There's a reason that we're always starting with the Saturn point on these hexagrams when we perform the LBRH. This is because Saturn is kind of like the default here. In the LBRP, we start from the Earth point because we are banishing Earth, and Earth is our default. We are really banishing all 4 elements, but Earth is also the representation of the container of the 4 elements. The relationship with Saturn is very similar. Each hexagram contains 2 triangles. We banish by drawing these triangles counterclockwise, but for the first triangle, we need to start from the point of the planet that we are intending to banish. The first triangle starts with Saturn, so we are banishing Saturn. It's not necessarily that we are banishing all of the planets. We are really doing a general clearing of macrocosmic energies. It's a way of clearing the space and removing ties to the external. The LBRH follows a formula very similar to the LBRP. So the LBRP starts with the Kabbalistic cross and ends with the Kabbalistic cross. The LBRH starts with the LVX ritual and ends with the LVX ritual. I have a video on the LVX, also called the analysis of the key word, and I'll link that video here too. But honestly, I'm planning on putting together a new video on this topic since I feel like I could have done better on that video. You can definitely find video demonstrations of the LVX ritual on YouTube, which might be helpful. I suggest learning this one a while before the LBRH because it might be a bit much to memorize. What we are doing is building up divine light at the top of the universe and then descending that light down. It's supposed to be energizing, and it's a way of bringing in more light, presence, and clarity. There's also a lot of symbolism alluding to the 3 aspects of creation. These aspects are generation, order, and destruction. There's a reminder in there that destruction is a part of the creative process, and each of these aspects are honored. After performing the LVX portion of the ritual, we start to draw the actual hexagrams. Starting in the east, we breathe in light from the top of the universe and charge the ground beneath us, move that energy back through the body, and then draw the hexagram for fire and golden light. Pierce the hexagram and charge it with the vibration of the name Ararita. We use the term vibrating for using this voice in a deep resonant way that causes vibratory sensations within the body. You want to feel the voice charging the space around you. Draw white light from the center of this hexagram to where the center of the next one will be in the south. Repeat this process as you draw the earth hexagram. Charge this with the name Ararita. Repeat this for the west, drawing the air hexagram, and this will be the same name, Ararita. Finally, draw the water hexagram in the north, charge it with Ararita, and connect it with white light back to the one in the east. So we now have 4 golden hexagrams around us connected to each other with a circle of white light. They are charged with the name Ararita. This is an acronym for a Hebrew phrase that translates to one is his beginning, one is his individuality, his permutation is one. The meaning is that this universe, this divine consciousness is one, even if it seems to be split into all of these little aspects and facets. You can even see that with the symbolism of the hexagram. We have 6 planets and the sun is at the center. This meaning is that 6 is 1. The changing of the hexagrams throughout the ritual represents how consciousness moves away from itself. It is never fully separated. These two triangles always share something, whether this is a bottom line, a point, or if they are interlocking or in union. They are never fully separated. Consciousness goes through cycles of moving away and then back together, like waves on a beach. This ritual is meant to remind you of your connection with divinity and your influence over your environment. Finally, this ritual ends again with the LVX ritual. We talked about the benefits of the LVX being increased energy, drawing in light, clarity, and maybe even presence. This will be included in the benefits of the LBRH because of the integration of the LVX in this ritual. The LBRH is a general banishing of external forces, so performing this can lead to disconnections or disidentifications with aspects of the external reality. Personally, that was the case for me, but this came about in a very natural way. I remember getting a lot more excited about the idea of presence and being able to look at things more objectively. In my own personal experience, it might have been slightly dramatic at first, but it balanced out very quickly. I found that this ritual is something that works for me when I do this on a daily basis, but that's subject to change in the future. Keep in mind there's a general banishing of Saturn energies with this ritual, meaning that structure could be shaken up a little bit. I've read a few things about this maybe generating an energy of chaos, but in my own personal experience, chaos would not be the word that I would use. I've actually found a very stabilizing energy over time within the experience of practicing this ritual. But keep in mind this should also be hand in hand with keeping up with the elemental work, which is also very stabilizing. This is also designed to be a way of protecting your energy from outside forces. Another benefit of banishing external forces is the minimization of distractions. I think it's on you to tackle the handling of the distractions, but the awareness of them becomes too in your face to ignore. I also think that this is another way of cleaning the window for consciousness to see through. The lesser pentagram rituals, the middle pillar, and the lesser hexagram rituals within ceremonial magic are meant to be performed on a daily basis. They are all ways of bringing in more divine light, purifying consciousness, and clearing out energies. All of this will set up the foundation for future work. Because of this, whatever magical work that you are pursuing could come about much more easily. It's as if there's a more clear channel for this divine energy or creative energy to flow through. If you had been performing the LBRP, LIRP, middle pillar, and have been doing elemental work for a while, this might be something to try. Remember that consistent practice is the way to seeing results that you're looking for. Make sure to check out the link in the description below to see what courses I offer, like the course on ceremonial magic. We talk about the 4 elements, the fundamentals of magic, and the basic rituals that will aid you along your journey. If you want to work one-on-one with me, I do offer coaching as well. There are links in the description to this, as well as to where you can book a tarot reading with me. And I also have the link to my Patreon if you are interested in some live streams. And hope there was something new that you were able to take away from this video. If so, please hit the like button, leave a comment, and subscribe for more content. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time.